Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video today before the sun goes completely down. I apologize. I know it's a little bit dim over here, but this is the best lighting I could get in any sort of open table space in my apartment right now. And I'm about to be very busy again for a couple days, so I wanted to make this video today. Today we're going to do the review of the Glycine Combat 6 field watch that I purchased just about a month ago. And in that month, it's certainly been my most worn daily watch. I like to rotate my watches a lot, depending on what I'm wearing, what I'm doing, where I'm going. But the Glycine has been kind of the casual, everyday choice for me. And so I feel like I've got a pretty strong sense of the watch now. First, I just want to cover some basics. Actually, first I should do a wristwatch check, I suppose. I'm currently wearing the little Chinese full calendar that I unboxed in my previous video. Gonna wear it around a little bit and get a sense of it before I do a review. As you can see, I threw it on this aftermarket leather strap from De Beer just because the strap it came on was so terrible I couldn't even wear it. Anyway, the Glycine. I purchased this watch on eBay from the seller Watchgooroo. Many of you have probably come across this seller in recent months because the prices on Glycines have just been completely insane. And I know that there's been a lot of questions as to whether this is a genuine retailer. Are the watches real? Are they authentic? What about the warranty? Can you trust them? Now look, I'm no kind of expert. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about Glycines or about who sells them or about how warranties work, but I'm a normal consumer just like you, and I don't purchase watches without doing my research. I'll post a link again below that I posted in the previous video of another consumer who contacted Glycine about this seller and was told that the warranty was stamped indeed by a real, authentic AD for Glycine and that it would be honored. That's all I know. That and the watch is very clearly a real watch. So anyway, I mean, if you're adverse to risk and you can afford it, buy your Glycine and every other watch you buy from an AD. If you want to get a great deal, just accept that you're going to have some risk involved. That's really all I can tell you. So, anyway, let's quickly look through all the packaging. As I'm opening this again, I paid $350, including shipping for this watch, which is way under the MSRP of $1,250. And it seems like ADs online often have it for about $800, so still quite a bit cheaper than that. It comes in this box, just a normal watch box. What I do think is interesting is that if you look at this logo here, the Glycine logo, this is the new logo. It was redesigned, I believe, last year, just prior to the company's sale. I'm not going to make any kind of comment about what I think of the logo. I don't really care. But what I found interesting is that the box this came in had the new logo, and as you'll see, the watch still has the old logo. It's a little fishy to me. I'm kind of wondering if these are all these like exceptional deals are on display models or models they couldn't sell. It seems weird that they would put a previously branded watch into a newly branded watch box. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys have had that same experience. Maybe some of you know how it works. I just wanted to point that out. The packaging itself is very similar to like a Hamilton or any other kind of well-made but entry-level Swiss piece. All the paperwork comes in this little folder. You'll see here there's a reference number and then the movement caliber number, which of course is just their version of the ETA 2824. I really think the only difference is that, of course, they've put their own rotor on it. All you get in the way of instructions is this little sheet telling you how to operate the movement. I kind of like that. I don't think you need much more than that for this kind of watch. And then you get this warranty card. Some other people from this seller have mentioned it's been filled out. Mine is not filled out. It's been dated and stamped. I don't know if that means that they wouldn't honor this warranty since the reference number and serial number haven't been put on the watch. What I'll probably do after this video is fill it in myself and hope for the best. But again, if you're not opposed to a tiny bit of risk, keep in mind that this is a movement that pretty much any competent watchmaker can service barring defects and weird freak accidents, there's really no reason you'd have to send this back to Glycine. You can take it to any good watchmaker in your area. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the design on the box is the newer Glycine logo, where it's kind of like wings instead of just a crown. I'm going to move this aside. And then in the box, obviously mine used to have stickers and everything on it, and it doesn't now. You get the watch on the watch pillow and a little tag, Glycine, and then it will have the full reference number on top, the water resistance rating, the caliber, and then this is the sapphire glass model. This watch does come in a few versions with mineral crystal, so it just has all that information on the tag. Excuse me a second, I'm going to put some of these boxes down. Now, the watch is still in very good condition, even though I wear my watches pretty hard. For my eyes, the leather looks a little darker now from, being on my wrist and getting broken in with sweat and water and whatnot. But other than that, it looks pretty much the same, apart from a few very minor scratches. So, where to start? Well, let's talk about measurements. I just got this marathon caliper. There's tape on it, as you can tell. Let's just make sure it's zeroed. Alright, so this is advertised as the Combat 6 36 millimeter. Let's see what the diameter actually is. You'll see just a little bit over 36, close enough. Great size for me. There is a 43 millimeter version, but I think only the largest gentleman probably should be wearing that. 36 is fine, unless you're a huge guy. And then Lug To Lug. Sorry, having trouble doing this on camera. Obviously very uncoordinated. Lug To Lug, about 42 millimeters. Just a little bit shorter than my Seiko SARB 035. Thickness, a little under 11, which to me is just terrific. It's a great size. And Glycine is kind of known for that in their sports range, for really thin cases, not adding unnecessary bulk, so to speak. I'm not going to formally measure the lugs because I didn't put any tape on that section. They're 20 millimeters. They might be like a fraction of a millimeter off, but they're 20 millimeter lugs. So, to me, this is a modest but really great size for most men, for kind of an easy, simple, unobtrusive, classically styled everyday watch. It's not supposed to be flashy. You're not supposed to be showing off how big of a watch you can purchase. So for this kind of watch, I think it's perfect. All right. What I will say about the movement is this. You can look up most of the specs yourself. ETA 2824-2 is what they're actually using, even though they're renaming it. It's one of the most widespread common movements in all of watchmaking. There's not a lot to say about it that hasn't already been said. There's different grades. I don't know how to tell them apart. I would assume this is one of the lower grades. There are a couple blued screws on it, however, which I found kind of surprising. And as far as I know, other than, basic regulation, the only difference between Glycine's ETA and any other brands is that they obviously put on their own branded rotor. I, amazingly enough, had trouble finding actual official specs for the ETA 2824-2, perhaps because there's so many versions regulated differently by so many companies. What I will say for my watch, this watch has been running almost exactly 7 seconds fast per day, which is well within what I would expect. Perfectly accurate for me. That doesn't bother me at all. All it means is that if you're kind of anal, every couple of days, if you're wearing it a lot, hack the seconds hand, wait 20 seconds, pop it back in, and you're right back on time. Not a big deal. Perfectly accurate. It's a 25 joule movement. I think it says that on the rotor. Sorry about the focusing. It does say that, but you can't see it right now. 25 joule movement. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. And the power reserve is 38 hours. I have not tested that to be sure, but it seems about right. And since the watch is working fine, I don't know why it would be any different than that. The water resistance of this watch, since we're talking about specs, is 50 meters. That's fine for a field watch. It's about to be expected. It means it's perfectly fine for everyday use. You can wash the dishes, as long as you're not like sinking your wrist into the water for too long. You know, you can go out in the rain, whatever. If you drop it in some water, it'll be fine. However, there are other watches in this price range, and again with push-pull crowns like this one has, that have 100-meter water resistance. Personally, I'd love to see that in this instance. Perhaps that would mean a solid case back. Perhaps the watch would have to be thicker. I don't really know. But for a field watch, to me, for most people, if you're not in the military, what that's become is kind of everyday casual or maybe field and stream, camping, hunting kind of watch. And for me, in that setting, I prefer 100-meter water resistance. Now, I realize, and many of you will point this out, that doesn't really matter. So take it as you will. I just personally would kind of like that. The loom on this watch is terrific. I'll try to put a loom shot in here or at the end if I can get my camera to focus at night. All of the numerals are loomed. The main numerals, not the minutes track, but all of the numerals are loomed, the dots are loomed, and the hands are loomed, and they're very bright. They don't last an incredibly long time, but they're really, really bright. The watch is incredibly legible at night. Let's see. Let's talk about aesthetics a little bit, aesthetics and design. We'll start with the dial. Now, if you're anything like me, if you like this watch, you're kind of choosing between something like this and something like the Hamilton Khaki Mechanical, Khaki King, any of that range. What attracted me to this is that it's the most kind of elegant, refined design in this range of field watch, or price range, I should say, of field watch that I've seen. I'm not in the military. I'm not really that much of an outdoorsman, although I do enjoy camping and hiking. I liked the elegance of this watch. To me, it's so clean and so simple and so well done. It just has this really refined, elegant appearance. That's partially just from the simple black dial, which is a matte dial. It's not glossy. And the very simple Arabic numerals, but it's more than that. I think that the hands on this watch were beautifully chosen. I like the really long seconds hand. See how close I can get here. I like the really long seconds hand and the long, thin minutes hands. On this kind of watch, I think that makes it much easier to read. I personally find dive watches with big chunky hands difficult to read in normal conditions. I understand that obviously underwater that's helpful, but sometimes it can be hard to tell exactly where the hand is actually pointing because they're so fat that they take up almost the entire space of 1 hour on the indices. These long, slender, simple hands to me are really easy to read and really elegant in a simple way. I also like the understated minutes track around the outside. Because I'm not really a military person and I wanted something a little bit less tooly, that to me was much more appealing than the complicated military time dials of the Hamilton watches that would be, counterpoints to this watch. I also like the fact that it's a black date wheel, which I think is very elegant. I kind of hate it when simple all black dials have white date wheels. This to me is a better look. Aesthetically, the case is very simple, which I think matches the function and sort of design of this watch as a whole. I find it quite elegant. I like how thin it is. Sorry, I'm having trouble focusing. You can see also that there's a slight dome to the sapphire crystal that is very appealing to me. It's not over the top, but it shows you're getting something a little bit more than your average flat sapphire or your domed mineral crystal or whatever else. It's nice to see that. The case polishing, I'm going to actually move this and hope that the camera will focus a little bit better. If you can see it in this not very good light, the top of the case and the lugs are all brushed, very finely brushed, but brushed. Really well done, I think. There's a few scratches on mine now, but And then the sides are high polished, and they have, if you can see, I'm so sorry the light is bad, there is a slight bevel on the edge between the top and the sides. I think you can kind of see it there, which I find very appealing. It's right here. Oops. Right here, there's this little bevel. Those kind of little details to me are what separate this watch's elegant design from a more functional, more plain field watch. There's no reason for the function of this watch to have that bevel or to have a mixture of polished and brushed surfaces, but those little attention to detail kind of elements mean that when you're sitting around on the train or at work and you look down at your wrist, depending on where you're sitting and how your wrist is positioned, the light will catch the watch in different ways and be very appealing. Same thing with these kind of chromed out seconds hands. In certain light, they're just really vibrant and bright, which is just a lovely little attention to detail kind of element that I like. Let's see, what else? The strap, I love the color of the strap. I love the quality of the leather. I think it looks really nice. It's sort of distressed, very outdoorsy. But I think the strap is one of the real failings of this watch from a design standpoint. Think about it. This is a 36mm watch. It's tiny. Most of the people who buy it probably have small wrists or like a smaller, more refined look. Well, to me, this strap is very clearly a one-size-fits-all strap that they're using on much bigger watches as well. I don't know how well you can tell from this, but up toward the lugs, the strap is incredibly thick. It's almost as thick as the watch itself. That's a little bit of exaggeration, but you can see, it's just a huge, chunky strap. Especially when new, that means it's very hard for someone with small wrists to wear this watch. I cinched it down all the way to the last hole on the strap, and the watch was essentially sitting totally up. Like my wrist would be here, and the watch would be here, because the strap was so thick that it wouldn't curve around my wrist. That annoyed me. I just think it shows some lack of thought about who the customer is for this watch and what would be best for that customer. I also just think it's a little out of scale. The strap, I think, is too long. I think this side of the strap, the 12 o'clock side, should be shorter because, again, most of the people buying this watch have smaller wrists. Think about it. On me, actually, let me just put it on and I'll show you. On me, if I wear this watch where it fits, I'm on the last hole, which again I think is a little ridiculous, since this is obviously 4 smaller wrists. And because of the way the strap is designed, the buckle comes very far around the wrist and becomes very obtrusive. Also because the buckle itself is so chunky and so big, almost as wide as the watch itself. I personally find that unappealing visually. It looks out of balance and out of scale. It looks like it's trying to be chunky and masculine when it shouldn't be for this watch. I would like the buckle to be not only smaller, but down here when I'm wearing the watch. I just think that a slightly thinner strap, a little bit shorter with 1 or 2 extra holes of adjustment, and a taper, because the strap does not taper in any significant way, would have been more appropriate for this watch. It's an elegant, refined watch, and it deserves a slightly more refined strap, despite how much I like the look of this one. Just for instance, on my weird little chunky Chinese watch, this is just a standard De Beer strap, same size, and look how much more elegant, obviously a different kind of strap, but that simple 2mm taper makes a world of difference. And this is a much bigger watch than this. I could show you my Seiko, which is in the other room, and that I have a strap that tapers 4mm because that's kind of my dress watch look. And I really like it. I think it looks good on a smaller wrist, and it would fit this smaller watch. That to me is the biggest con of this watch, is the strap. What about case back and movement? Well, as I mentioned before, it's not an exceptionally decorated movement, obviously. I still find it very pleasant to look at. I think personally the ETA 2824 is kind of attractive in an engineering sense. It's so crisp and efficient looking. I like the blued screws there. That's a nice touch. And the rotor is attractive. I mean, it basically looks just like a Hamilton rotor, I think, and I like both of them. Now, given that, I mean, I love that it's a sapphire case back. I love that it's an attractive movement to look at despite the lack of decoration. I don't really know that this watch needs to have a display case back. It seems kind of out of touch with what a field watch is to me. And I think the same thing about many of the Hamiltons. Personally, I would not have a display case back, especially if it meant the water resistance could be improved. But, you know, it's attractive. I think it's pretty to look at. So, I mean, that's basically it. Those are my thoughts on this watch. What I will say is my verdict. First, value. At the price I bought this at $350, I think it's an incredible value. Just great watch for the money. Really nice finishing, beautiful looking watch. Gets some more compliments than, you know, my Seikos or plainer watches in the same price point. It's just really, you know, versatile and attractive. I do think that at the actual retail value of this watch, you know, this $1,250 or even the $800 you can buy it from Iguana Cell, to me that's a little bit overpriced. Just on a purely functional level, although obviously different kinds of watches, I think that my Seiko SARB 035 is a superior watch to this. It's more water resistant. I believe it's more anti-magnetic, arguably more versatile, and it has more complicated case finishing. Now again, that's partially because they're different kinds of watches. This simplicity is true to the design of this watch. But all I'm saying is, if you go Japanese and you can ignore the Swiss-made element, you can get a more robust, equally accurate, more intensely designed watch for the same or less money. So keep that in mind. However, at the end of the day, I think this is the perfect everyday wear casual watch, at least for me. It's small, it's unobtrusive, it's elegant, but it's also sporty and casual. I think the classic design of this watch, on just a purely aesthetic level, really beats the Hamiltons. The Hamiltons are great watches, don't get me wrong. This to me is far more visually appealing. It's very elegant in its simplicity, it's very versatile, although it's obviously not as water resistant as some other watches in this price point, and it's not really appropriate for dressing up. It's small enough, but it just doesn't look right on a dressier strap. I will say, this is a strap monster. I can't wait for the summer. I'm going to buy sort of a khaki or sand-colored NATO and a green NATO, and have a lot of fun with those in the summer for this as a casual wear watch. All in all, I think it's a great buy if you can find it at the right price. I'd say if you can find this watch under $500 and you like it, it's a sure thing. Sort of in that $500 to $800 range, I would only buy it if you really, really want this watch. I really love wearing it. I don't know that I'd be as happy if I had paid twice as much for it. So what I'll say is this. If you want one of these, I can't imagine the prices are going to last. And who knows what's going to happen with Glycine now that they've been sold. Run out and try to find one right now. There's a whole bunch of different options. You can get different dial colors. You can get Arabic numerals or indices. You can get black, brown leather straps. You can get a green NATO. You can get a bracelet. You can get sapphire or mineral crystal. There's all sorts of options out there. I'll leave a link below to Watchgooroo's eBay page, and if you want to take that slight risk and buy one of these at an amazing price, you should do it. And if they have a best offer on the watch that you want, make them an offer. This was listed at $499. I offered $350 and they took it. And to me, wonderful watch for the money. I'm really, really pleased that I bought it, and to me, it's a total keeper. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you found this review informative. If you did, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know what you think of this watch. Ask me any questions you might have. And I'll see you guys in a few days with some more content. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.